Welcome to Sweet Reincarnation, a delightful anime filled with magic, sweets, and adventure. Follow the journey of Pass, a talented young pastry chef who reincarnates into a magical world. With the power to create delicious treats and a heart full of determination, he sets out on a mission to rebuild his village, protect his friends, and even play matchmaker. Get ready for a heartwarming and action-packed experience as Pass discovers the true sweetness of life in Sweet Reincarnation. Don't miss out on this captivating anime. Watch till the end for all the delicious details. The episode opens with a man who dreams of creating the world's best dessert. After years of honing his skills, he competes in a major competition with a team, creating a beautiful phoenix dessert. Tragically, he is killed when his own dessert falls on him. In his last moments, he regrets not fulfilling his dreams. However, God decides to reincarnate him in another world, giving him another chance. He is born as Pastry Mill Molten, the son of a noble general. Despite being from a noble background, his father, Casserole, instills in him the importance of helping others and being kind. At a young age, Pass is trained by his father to become a skilled swordsman, although he secretly wishes to pursue his passion for pastries. Pass continues to practice and improve his swordsmanship, but his true passion lies in choosing which dessert to create next. After training, Pass's father is approached by the head retainer, Fuel, who informs him that he has both good and bad news. The good news is that the harvest will be huge, just as Pass had promised. Thanks to Pass's knowledge from his previous world, their once barren territory is now fertile, leading to improved cultivation and a bountiful harvest. However, the bad news they receive is that there are 50 bandits heading toward their town. Pass becomes anxious as he realizes that the bandits could ruin his dreams of creating desserts. His father plans to gather villagers for defense, but Pass knows their chances are slim as they lack the resources and time to fend off the attackers. Fuel notices that Pass is feeling the weight of his future role as Lord. Fuel suggests using their trump card, the Sanctification Ceremony, to awaken Pass's magic powers. At the breakfast table, Pass's father announces to the family that Pass will undergo a sanctification ceremony. Although traditionally meant for 13 to 15-year-olds, Pass's father deems it fitting for Pass, considering his advanced swordsmanship skills and exceptional intelligence. Initially, Pass's mother is upset as she wanted him to have more time as a child. However, she eventually accepts the decision and helps him prepare for the ceremony. Pass's sister playfully joins in, teasing him as he faces the biggest shame of his life, cross-dressing. To make matters worse, they even apply makeup on his face, making him look like a clown. After 3 days of preparation and suffering, Pass sets off for the royal capital to complete the sanctification ritual. Pass's friends cheer him on as his father places his hand on his shoulder, chanting a spell that instantly teleports them to the capital. Pass is fascinated by the sights and the new ingredients he could use for his desserts. However, his father reminded him that he could only buy anything if he passed the ceremony. Pass discovers a new fruit called Bankus and expressed interest in growing it in their territory. When Pass and his father arrived at the church for the sanctification ceremony, they met with the panda priests. The ceremony involved both physical and mental challenges. First, they measured Pass's magic power by making him drink a bitter drink after restraining him. Next, they left him alone in complete darkness, devoid of any senses, where most kids would scream after a few minutes. But Pass stays focused on creating new desserts, with his mind filled with ingredients and recipes. 2 days later, during the sanctification ceremony, Pass is surrounded by golden light particles that are absorbed into his body, astonishing both his father and the panda priest with his magical potential. Next, he successfully comprehends a magical scripture, impressing everyone. Delighted with his progress, his father takes him to the market as promised, where Pass picks out his Bankus and is even given a free one by a kind shopkeeper. 3 weeks have passed, and the town is preparing for an imminent bandit siege. Pass is assigned to help with defense preparations, but is concerned about their weak and vulnerable army composed of farmers. They build a defense wall, seal off small villages, and plan to hide in the largest village. However, defeat seems inevitable due to limited manpower and food supplies that can only last 3 days. Lost in thought, Pass is interrupted by the arrival of his childhood friends, Mark and Lumi, who have come to help him. He devises a plan to use rocks against the bandits and warns his friends to stay away from danger. As they gather rocks, they hear the approaching bandits and quickly warn the village. The general, aware that the bandits would strike at night, begins designing the positions for his men. His retainer is concerned about the plan but surprisingly asks for Pass's opinion, a 9-year-old pastry chef. Pass draws an analogy between battle strategy and his recipes, likening measuring baking ingredients to understanding the enemy's supplies, and the general agrees with his perspective. The general scouts the area on horseback, allowing them to surprise the bandits and launch a preemptive strike. While the general is absent, Pass takes on the responsibility of safeguarding the village. He instructs Mark and Lumi to use fire arrows to signal the attack. Meanwhile, the general was out scouting and spotted the bandits' resources, including their number of men, horses, and captives. The general engaged in battle, swiftly reducing the enemy's numbers. However, the bandit leader's intelligence led to a strategic retreat, and the general chose to withdraw instead of launching another attack. The bandits saw an opportunity to pursue the villagers but made two big miscalculations. They didn't notice the trap set by the villagers, and they never expected the supposedly leaderless village had the mightiest leader of them all. The general spotted the fire arrows and understood Pass's plan to guide him back. Thanks to this information, the general knew the path to take to minimize damage to the fields. As the bandits drew nearer to the village, Pass instructed a group of children to launch a full-on attack with slingshots. The bandits were caught off guard by the mix of fire rocks hitting their faces, causing panic and chaos. Despite their attempts to flee, the flames consumed them. The general and the retainers also joined the ambush, further reducing the bandits' forces. The bandit leader remains determined and climbs the wall, killing a farmer and challenging the rest. The peasants surround him, but he proves to be more skilled in battle. The bandit leader orders everyone to be killed, leading to a full-on fight between the bandits, villagers, and retainers. The kids continue to throw rocks, irritating the bandit leader who targets them. As the kids struggle to move, Pass protects them and gets injured. Taking Pass as a hostage, the bandit leader creates an opportunity for the kids to hide. Pass seizes an opportunity when he sees a dead man with a burnt head on the ground. Using his magical ability, he replicates the injury on other bandits, causing confusion among them. Pass then uses the same spell on the bandit leader, setting himself free. The bandit leader becomes puzzled and gets hit by a rock before he can ask if Pass is a wizard. The confrontation against the bandits finally ends. Pass's mother and sister are informed of the outcome. They inquire about Pass and his father's safety, and feel relieved to learn that they are safe. Even though Pass's arm is injured, it's just a scratch. Pass's sister is curious about the delay in their return, but Pass is preoccupied with other responsibilities, such as dividing the food supplies among the villagers to ensure their sustenance. The guards and villagers take care of the restrained bandits, planning to send them to another county. Pass's father awards the training guards and villagers for their bravery with weapons and silver coins, even including Pass's little friends who assisted. The kids return home and proudly show their mothers the rewards they received for their help. Villagers come to celebrate the victory, and Pass is excited about making more sweets, particularly a bonka pie, but realizes he's missing cinnamon. Meanwhile, Mark decides to check on the restrained bandits in the main village shed with Lumi. Despite the adults warning them it's unsafe, Mark distracts them with pebbles and they sneak inside the shed, only to be frightened by the bandit leader. The bandit leader manipulates Mark, who is scared and falls under his influence. The bandit promises to teach Mark how to use the full power of his magic sword, and Mark is eager to learn to help Pass more. The bandit instructs Mark to draw the sword and holds it. Lumi tries to intervene, but Mark ignores her. The bandit kicks Mark with magic, sending him flying. In the chaos, the bandit stabs Lumi, causing her to bleed. The guards return due to the noise, but the bandit tries to threaten the guards with Mark's life and manages to escape on a horse, leaving Lumi in critical condition. Upon hearing about the incident, Pass rushes to the scene and instructs the guards on how to tend to Lumi's injury. He gathers information on the bandit's whereabouts and follows him on his horse. Nil's father learns about what happened and instructs his retainer, Fuel, to rescue his son. Fuel is worried about potential bandit companions and decides to use his magic to locate Pass in the forest. Mark struggles to free himself from the bandit but falls into a trap, allowing Pass to catch up. The bandit is annoyed by the trap and prepares to fight Pass. Despite recalling his father's sword-fighting teachings, Pass is still a child and unable to fight an adult. The bandit is aware of Pass's magic and wants to finish him with a single blow. Pass is pushed back until he reaches Mark, who urges him to abandon him. However, Pass refuses to abandon his friends. Despite the bandit's relentless attacks, Pass uses his magic to defend himself. Meanwhile, Fuel scouts the area using his magic but only finds Mill's broken sword. When he returns to Casserole's house, he is shocked to find Pass sitting with his mother. Pass explains that he used his father's teleportation magic to return with Mark, but he finds it complicated to provide all the details. Pass explains to his father and Fuel that he can copy any magic he sees. Despite understanding, Pass is scolded by his father for using such dangerous abilities in public. Casserole warns him of potential dangers, as others may target him to turn him into a weapon. Despite Mark's guilt over the incident, Pass convinces him to visit Lumi, who is smiling despite her injury, but is not allowed to play outside while she recovers. Pass decides to give Mark and Lumi some alone time while he prepares a bonka pie to cheer them up. Despite Mark's apology, Lumi is initially uninterested until Pass returns with the pie, making them both ecstatic. Later, Lumi's father unexpectedly proposes a marriage between Mark and Lumi, leaving Mark flustered. The episode ends with Pass realizing that bringing smiles to people's faces through sweets is just the beginning of his journey in this new world as a pastry chef. A month has passed since the bandit incident, and Casserole and Fuel are facing financial troubles. They need to rebuild the village and provide provisions for the villagers, but they have no money left. The reward they were supposed to receive for capturing the bandit leader was lost due to Mark's actions. Casserole considers borrowing money from other nobles or asking for help from the court, but both options have their drawbacks. Pass suggests asking his grandparents for help, but his parents have cut ties with them years ago. Mark encourages Pass to not hide things from them and offers to help. They discuss the possibility of selling Pass sweets in the city, but he can't afford the production costs. Pass tries to mediate and Lumi suggests that magic could be the key to finding a solution. Pass asks Mark and Lumi to draw something on the ground and uses his magic to copy their drawings into their hands, and Lumi is surprised by the permanence of the drawings on skin. Lumi suggests the possibility of copying images onto objects. Pass realizes that it could be the answer to their problems. Pass holds her hand and calls Lumi a genius, but she blushes and becomes shy. Pass apologizes and hurries off to meet his father. Pass storms into the house with a plan to solve their financial troubles. He suggests that his father can take his sister, Josephine, around to introduce her to other nobles using his teleportation magic. Whereas most nobles cannot use magic and have to attend a royal ball in the capital, which is expensive and dangerous. Pass proposes that they could sell matchmaking photos by using his magic to create detailed portraits. Pass uses his magic to make his mother's portrait on a plank of wood. Casserole and Fuel cannot believe it as it is so detailed. His mother is amazed and feels like she's looking in a mirror. Pass and his father, Casserole, meet Countess Brioche Salgrade to discuss the bandits. Brioche is the eldest daughter of the previous count and has assumed authority until the rightful heir is of age. However, the heir mysteriously died before reaching adulthood. Brioche invites them for tea and offers her land's specialty cookies. Pass finds the cookies horrible, but Brioche is surprised as most kids love sweets. Pass then tries the tea, which also disappoints him. Brioche praises Casserole for his military and agricultural accomplishments and expresses her interest in learning from him. Casserole reveals that most of the improvements made to his land were a result of Pass' advice. Brioche finds it hard to believe that a young kid could be responsible for overseeing such improvements. She praises Casserole and tells Pass that he must be proud of his father's achievements. However, Pass counterattacks and cleverly manipulates the conversation, making Brioche believe that their land was raided by several hundred bandits, even though it was only 50. He implies that they have evidence of bandits coming from Brioche's land, which puts her on the defensive. Pass hints that they could hand the bandits over to the royal family for investigation if necessary. Brioche tries to deny her failure, but Pass presents evidence, leaving her cornered and realizing her mistake. Pass demands compensation for the damages caused by the bandits from Brioche's land. Brioche offers 100 gold pieces as compensation, but Pass rejects it, claiming it doesn't cover the damages. She increases the offer to 130 gold pieces, but Pass still refuses. Finally, Brioche offers 150 gold pieces, and Pass and Casserole accept the deal. Brioche realizes that Pass is exceptional and might be the reason for Casserole's land's prosperity. After signing the contract, Brioche apologizes for underestimating Pass due to his age. Before leaving, Pass uses his magic to create a portrait of Brioche as a gift, impressing her further. She thanks him, and Pass bids her goodbye. Casserole attends the coming-of-age ceremony of the Duke Cattlesek's grandson and congratulates him. The Duke introduces Squall, mentioning that he graduated as the top student in the military academy. Nervously, Squall salutes Casserole, and the Duke apologizes for his stiffness. The Duke reveals that Squall admires Casserole and was looking forward to meeting his childhood hero. Casserole introduces Pass to the Duke, and Pass impresses the Duke with his relaxed and confident demeanor. The Duke praises Pass and notices his maturity, asking if he has awakened his magic, to which Pass modestly admits he has been blessed with magical abilities. Intrigued, the Duke requests a demonstration, and Pass uses his magic to print the image of a beautiful young girl on a piece of cloth. The Duke is impressed, and his grandson's heart skips a beat as Pass presents a gift from himself and the Margrave of Huberc, who wanted to introduce his daughter, Petra, to Squall. The Duke inquires if it's truly his daughter, and Pass confirms, explaining that he met Petra using his father's magic during his travels to their domain. Pass adds that Margrave is currently caught in a conflict, preventing Petra from meeting Squall in person. Squall is head over heels for Petra and can't help but mention how cute and pretty she looks. Pass seizes the opportunity to invite Squall to Petra's coming-of-age celebration next month, and Squall agrees enthusiastically. However, his grandfather gets upset as Squall fails to grasp the implications of the invitation. Pass suggests using his father's magic for safe travel, and discreetly shares information about the Margrave's desire to end the battle by using Duke's forces and marry his daughter to Squall, which piques the Duke's interest. The Duke decides to attend Petra's celebration, seeing it as a potentially good story to share with the king. Squall becomes friends with Pass and asks about Petra's interests, leading Pass to mention that she liked the sweets he baked. Squall requests a spicier portrait of Petra from Pass, who agrees in hopes of becoming a matchmaker for them. As winter approaches, the villagers focus on rebuilding their homes and gathering provisions. Pass informs his father about the letters they received, resolving their income problem due to Squall and Petra's engagement. They discuss the need to protect Petra during the trip and ceremony in the capital, considering various strategies and potential risks, including the involvement of the church and possible enemy infiltrations. Casserole contemplates using his teleportation spell for protection, but they remain uncertain about the best course of action, including the idea of refusing to escort Petra. Casserole sees this as the best opportunity to gain the trust of both lords, creating a domino effect for the future development of mortals. He suggests a plan to protect Lady Petra, proposing a secure location with no windows, a single door, and the church where only those sanctified with Petra can enter. Meanwhile, Pass delivers an invoice for a few ingredients and tries to leave, but Casserole stops him. Pass convinces them it's a chance to get rare ingredients. On the day of Petra's coming of age, they meet the Margrave and his daughters, Petra and Licorice, in a carriage. Casserole assures that everything is arranged to protect them. During the carriage ride, an ambush occurs, but they manage to protect the girls. Pass fights bravely, impressing everyone. Father and son duo defeats the opponent and scares off the bandits. Inside the church, Licorice is scared of the dark, but Pass comforts her by holding her hand, making her blush. After comforting Licorice, Pass guides her down and she starts thinking about him. Despite being younger, he behaves like an adult and doesn't compare her with her sister. Licorice has always been indecisive and feels like she's just an extra, especially since her sister was chosen as the bride. However, Pass helped her despite her initial unpleasantness. They reach the end of the stairs, and Petra asks about the sanctification ceremony, but Pass explains they will teleport to the capital for it, calming their nerves. Casserole uses magic to teleport them to the church. Meanwhile, in another part of the city, a strange man in a broken house gathers mercenaries for a job to rebuild the Almania house. The weirdo wants to deal a blow to the Cadlasic family, so he hires mercenaries to bring a woman named Petra to him. Petra is worried, but Pass assures her that once she meets Squall, she'll feel differently. He tries to be a wingman for Squall by praising him. The Margrave arrives and tells Petra that the panda priest is ready for the ceremony. Fuel arrives, and Casserole asks about the situation in the Cadlasic house, and Fuel explains that there's a large crowd, including some nobles from distant territories. Casserole explains that the marriage will unite the Margrave and Duke's families, creating the strongest noble house. Pass is given the task to accompany Licorice to the reception room while Petra finishes her ceremony. Fuel advises Pass to be empathetic towards Licorice, who seems tired. Pass suggests a separate room for Licorice to rest, and she hesitantly agrees, holding his hand as he guides her. Casserole is happy that everything has gone well so far, but he remains suspicious of the large crowd. Fuel is worried about Pass hanging out with an unmarried girl in the same room. Suddenly, the ground shakes, and a massive hole opens up, causing Licorice and Pass to fall into it. A mage created the pit, and the mercenary leader is behind their abduction. Pass wonders why they are being held hostage, realizing they are after Licorice. The mercenary leader warns Pass not to try anything or he will be killed. Pass decides to protect Licorice. Casserole reaches the pit's end but finds the culprits have escaped. Pass tries to gather information from the guard but gets no answers. He pretends to cry and mentions his noble status to negotiate for a ransom. Pass realizes they are in a place that belonged to a fallen Duke family 10 years ago. Pass remembers a list of possible threats for Petra's escort, noticing only one Duke on the list, the Duke of Almania. He uses his magic to copy the information onto a ribbon belt and teleports it to his father. Casserole returns to the church to gather more information while Fuel explains that the Margrave prioritizes Petra's engagement and can't spare his men. Casserole suggests they do something if they know who attacked. The ribbon appears, revealing that Pass and Licorice are held at the Duke of Almania's estate. Meanwhile, the mercenary leader is angry as he realizes they kidnapped Licorice instead of Petra. He tries to attack her, but Pass teleports next to her and gets punched by the mercenary leader. The mercenary leader is confused about how Pass moves so quickly. He explains that they won't get paid because they got the wrong girl, and the engagement announcement is happening. Pass realizes their true intentions and knows they want to kill them to avoid witnesses. Pass unties himself and uses a sword to protect Licorice. He knocks down one of the bandits and confronts the leader. Licorice is relieved, and Pass assures her he will be with her. Pass asks the leader to surrender, but the leader refuses, saying the battle has just begun. Pass confidently declares it's a checkmate situation.